Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. This week on the Someone You Should Know program is kind of a mini British invasion. Our guest that we had on Monday was from outer London. Our guest today is 75 miles down the motorway in Brighton, England. And through the years, Brighton has given us Fatboy Slim and the Levelers and Royal Blood and Nick Cave. Today's guest is the band, the Tenderhooks. And from the band, we happen to have Markus Leinweber. Markus, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Welcome, Rick. And hi, all the listeners. Very excited.
Very good. Markus, what's the origins of the band Tenderhooks?
Weird one, really. I could chat a long time about this. I'll keep it brief. I'm also an actor, and I'm half German, hence the name Leinweber. And I speak some German, and I ended up playing the most senior officer in Saving Private Ryan. And while I was on set for 3 weeks just outside of London, the final scene, the tank scene in the village, I was involved in that. I wrote a screenplay, and the screenplay was about a band, and they were on Tenderhooks, but Tenterhooks. But I made a play on it because of hooks with music, and it was a love story between a boy and a girl, and they get signed up to play a gig, and then they fall out with each other, and then various things happen in this story, and therefore I've always had Tenderhooks as a kind of name.
Okay.
Then when I came to Brighton, I formed a band, which was in 2000, around 2000.
Oh, very good, very good. I got to back up one step. You were in Saving Private Ryan. Did you have any time with Tom Hanks or Matt Damon?
I did. My stage name is Marcus Napier. You won't find Markus Leinweber on the credits, but I am credited. I did speak to Tom Hanks. I chose the day that he was shot very dramatically on the bridge. And it was my kind of tank and action. And I was dressed in the full Nazi regalia. And he was ready in his method. And he was not happy to have me in front of his face. So he actually kind of almost turned away from me. And kept it incredibly brief. And then, of course, I understood that that was most probably the complete and utter wrong time to do it. But I did speak to Spielberg and various other. Eddie Burns was in it. Obviously, Matt Damon was just becoming famous because he did Good Will Hunting just before then. And so, yeah, star-studded. It was great fun.
The question I ask all actors, how was the catering? How was your craft service?
Well, you can imagine. When the American boys fly in, you know, they put on a spread.
Well,
you got a lovely head of gray hair.
Well, thank you so very much. It's starting to thin up here on the top. My wife's getting a little concerned about that particular thing. I got to ask you, who influenced you as far as, obviously, I'm guessing maybe the British invasion might have influenced your taste in music to start with?
I was influenced by guys at boarding school. I was stuck in boarding school for 7 years, and there were older guys there, and older guys influenced you because you just looked up to them a little bit, and then you listened to their music. And there was this one guy called Wilf, and he had a sixth form study to himself, and we used to stand in there, most probably getting up to, smoking and other bits and bobs, but he had Born to Run on 24/7. We used to stand in there singing every lyric of Born to Run, and therefore I've grown up being a massive Bruce Springsteen fan, seen him twice, once in 82 and once in London later. So no, it's not the British invasion, yes, for you guys, but here I think I'm loving the Americana vibe very much, but also, of course, I've grown up from Beatles up through to, Madness, Squeeze, Bowie, you name it. Everything in that is in my music. I honor them. I don't mind sounding a little bit like a lot of those artists because for me, when I write a song, I do see that as an opportunity to honor somebody that has given me, inspiration in music.
Very good. It's strange. We call it the British invasion here, but they're just called the invasion, or it should be in your case, the export.
We call them the export. Yeah, they tried. usually getting banged up for smoking something.
Yeah. Who were the members of your band?
Well, it's been, a rotating door, really. But Mike is now the longest standing member. He's been on 3 albums, I think. That's Mike Phillips, who plays bass.
Okay.
He played with a band called Juicy Lucy before he came to us.
All right.
Apparently, they were very keen on their drink, and it all became a bit of a nightmare. And they, I think, were touring from the name from the 60s, where Juicy Lucy had a couple of hits, and they still reincarnated, a bit like Tenderhooks, but with that history of having a bit of a following from their past. So, but he had enough of that, so he came to us. And then we've got, funnily enough, I say that, but our drummer has just come back on board, and it was very weird. I fell out with our last drummer, who was on the Hooks album, Dave Uden, fantastic job, and he's also on some of 5.4 Light Years. But we fell out, and lo and behold, on Facebook, somebody contacts me. It's Andy Cook. Andy says, "Look, I've got some of the set lists from when we played together." He was the very first Tenderhooks drummer back in the early 2000s, and he's back in the band.
Wonderful.
And it's an absolute joy to have him.
It's nice homecoming there, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just real full circle there. And we're also now rehearsing on his little farmstead, which is way down the road, but it's great fun. And the last one is a very new addition. His name's Charles Cronje. He is a friend that I play golf with. I've known him for quite a long time. He goes back a long way with a friend of mine called Paolo, back to the London days where their kids were at school. He lives in Brighton, has done for years, and he just mentioned to me after golf, I'd love to be in a band. At the time, I was a 3-piece. Because I kind of had enough of guitarists, and it's a struggle, but getting people on board always. And he said, so I said, well, Charles, come on board. The guy's got a fantastic voice. He's got great ability to produce. He's also a, really decent guitarist as well. So we're now that foursome. And it's really lovely because we've got a good engine room, the bass and drums, and then we've got the 2 creative guys. And now I've got a guy that I can say has got a really outstanding voice, whereas mine's always been kind of not really. That's most probably why we're not very successful. I haven't got that really outstanding vocal, where he has a lovely voice. So he's going to be recorded on the new stuff a lot.
Very good, very good. But you do a nice job on the keys, though. I would give you a little credit for that.
Yeah, it's been when I play live and I'm singing, it really doesn't help me with the keyboard playing. I cannot do lots of things at once. So I can't be too clever because I just throw myself one way or the other. So it's nice when he does the lead singing. That gives me more of an opportunity to be able to be a little bit less off the beat and try and create stuff with the piano. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the new recordings a lot.
Very good. Now, when did the band form? I think you said it was around 2000, is that right?
Well, funnily enough, yeah, we did the band for 2 years. I formed the band, and then I was on my bucket list to get back up to London, to get to the venues that I went to when I was 18, 20, because then I'm already in my 40s then. So Andy will tell you, I got him in the motor, or we got in the motors and went up to London, but easier to get into London in those days, and park and go to venues like the Rock Garden, Dingwalls. We played at the Queen's Head, we played in the Garage, we played in Camden and Dublin Castle, we played at the Half Moon in Putney. All the venues were. At 18, I followed a band called the Hollywood Killers. We went to all these places to see Jimmy play with his band, and I wanted to get back there, and I really ticked off loads and loads and loads. But like the same old story, where are my fans? We played and didn't get any more fans. And once our friends had seen us once, they weren't coming to every gig. So we ended up kind of after a year and a half, 2 years, I said, that's it. I'm not going to do the band thing anymore. It's too much heartbreak.
But you reformed like about 2005, right? And then you started to do it.
No, the story goes is that I read in the paper fortuitously that in Brighton there was going to be a music college opening called the Brighton Institute of Modern Music.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's interesting. And at that time, I got a commercial called for Admiral Insurance. There's a little plug for Admiral. I'm not sure they're in the States, but they are quite a big advertising insurance company here. So I was able to take a kind of year off from acting. Has never been a major income of mine. I also paint and decorate. So I put that on the sidelines and I went and did a year's songwriting at that college.
All right. Very good.
And it was a great experience. And at the end of it, I met Mike Wilton, who I'm still working with now. He was 18 then. He's now 47 with a kid. You know, he's rolling up to 40. It's amazing. And he's helped me from the get-go with every single album. He's been producer, played on, helped me with arrangements and stuff like that. So I met somebody that really helped and triggered me to be able to get the material together for album one, which was, 2005, Devil's Ride White Horses. But they're studio albums. The first three are studio albums. There was no band.
Oh, all right. How has the music evolved since 2005? That's 18 years. How is it?
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of makes you think. 18 years. You remember that?
I don't think it's evolved much because I'm always staying on that same level. I should really be trying to be more contemporary and sounding like somebody that's really famous and doing well. But I write songs and then I put them to Mike most of the time, who helps me with the arranging. Then I have my guys in the band and we rehearse them up. And then if they're strong enough, they'll end up being played live at gigs. And then, yes, they definitely get onto an album. It's kind of lovely to be able to write new material and think that's going to get on a new album, or to go back and think there's an old song there and rework that, take that to the band, then we, get that cooking. And so, I don't know if it's evolved because the eclectic mix is still from album one right way through going to be on album 10. There's going to be a bit of everything in there.
Well, speaking of album 10, that's in the works right now. We have a track from it called Where Are My Fans? You mentioned that earlier. And I often wonder, sometimes, where the hell are my fans? I had my share of doing overnight shifts. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. The phones are completely dead. And you're going, is anyone out there?
I hope someone's out there. Hello, can you wait?
What's the backstory on Where Are My Fans?
Oh God, a lot of my songwriting is triggered by my emotions, and often what I read in the paper or what we live through, my experiences. This was an experience where we organized a gig. We had Charles and Andy. I think it was Charles' first gig, a lovely little bar venue down in Brighton and Hove called the Brunswick. And I invited a band to play called Dirty Weekend in Brighton. I've known Whammer for years. They do a few covers. They do some original stuff, entertaining and good friends. I've known the boys in the band, most of them for a long time. So that'd be a fun night. So they started, we headlined, and they brought, let's say, 15 to 20 people. We bought around the same amount, so the bar was actually feeling quite nice and full, and there was some lively ladies dancing around in front of them, and I thought, this is going to be sweet. By the time we kick off, everyone's going to have a few more drinks and it's going to be a big night. Then they finished, and even though they paid, most of them, they all left, bar 3 people. Whammer, the drummer, and his wife, who are friends of mine. The rest of the people all left. I was completely and utterly heartbroken. And we ended up playing in front of about 15 to 20 people in a venue where you get a great sound, great look because of the lighting and everything. I put my bar, set my sights so high, and I worked so hard at publicizing the gigs on Facebook, Insta, and all these other social platforms. I was like, oh, where are my fans? And then I thought, I get a hip hop beat. Yeah, that's it. Start writing some lyrics. And then the story just pours out of me.
There you go. Very good. Well, you've also learned the show must go on, regardless if you're playing for one person or 1,000 people. The show must go on. And we're going to play that song right now. Right. Where Are My Fans from Tenderhooks, featuring Markus Leinweber right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
played a show and nobody came. Ain't that just such a crying shame? I'll pick myself up, dust myself off, and go again. It ain't the first time. Well, I sang a song nobody knew. Yeah. And maybe I should have just stuck with the Who. Who? Well, maybe somebody might have stayed, had a beer, and sung along. Yeah. You know, deep, deep, deep down in my heart, I know it ain't sour grapes, it's in my funny bones that I'm gonna have my Cinderella moment. One day I'll have some fans of my own. Whoa, where are my fans? Where are my fans? Oh, I had so many big, big plans. You bet. Playing the Hollywood Bowl in front of 50,000 adoring souls. Yeah, dream on. Where are my fans? Where are my fans? You see, I wanna be in big demand. I wanna fly around the world in my eco-jet and play with my fabulous band. Andy, Mike, John, yeah. Boys, come on. So now I just go away. See, I've had my cry, and I've had my say. But don't you see all these cover bands, tribute acts that are negating the fact that I am a songwriter, an artist, and a performer, and I ain't getting where I wanna be. Oh, where are my fans? Where are my fans? You see, I wanna play in La La Land. Yeah, I wanna fly around the world in my eco-jet. With my fantastic band. Come on, boys, pack your bags. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Vamos! Now I'm just gonna give you one more quote. Well, maybe two. I'm telling you, we're gonna need a much, much bigger boat. Yeah. Big. 'Cause AI's eating everything that we got. Yeah. And I'm telling you, that ain't no joke. So let's have a smoke. 'Cause I wanna get high. Where are my fans? Oh, where are my fans? You see, I wanna be in big demand. Yeah, I wanna play in the Hollywood Bowl to 50,000 adoring souls. To fucking 20. But I ain't dreaming. Where are my fans? Hey, put your hand up.
Well, I've had that feeling many times. Where are my fans? That's Tenderhooks featuring Markus Leinweber. You're going to hear more music from the band Tenderhooks coming up in just a bit, but I'd like to remind everybody that you're listening to the Someone You Should Know podcast. Thanks for tuning in. It's available on the World Wide Web at SomeoneYouShouldKnowPodcast.com. You're going to find our recent episodes. Also, our archive of past episodes. If you missed anything of the 130 plus episodes that we've done, you might want to go ahead and take a look at some of the ones that happened last year or earlier this year. You can find that also on the web there. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We are so blessed to reach so many cities around the world. We'd like to salute some in Marcus's home country. And the thing is, we're going to salute just the Bs. Like you're from Brighton. We got Barnsley and Bedford and Birmingham and Bournemouth and Bradford and Brighton. So there we go.
Lovely. All football teams.
All football teams. The Someone You Should Know podcast.
Soccer teams for the Americans.
Absolutely. The Someone You Should Know podcast, or wherever quality streaming audio is available.
Stay tuned. The Someone You Should Know podcast with Rick Anthony. We'll be right back after this short message.
Are you a business owner in need of a professional voice service? Well, look no further. Manzi Voice Services offers a wide variety of voice services and media production who will elevate your brand. Our team of experienced professionals will work closely with you to bring your vision to life, providing top-notch audio and video production. Whether you're looking for a voice for your commercial or a full-scale media production, Manzi Voice Services has got you covered. If you're looking for professional voice, then look no further. Contact Manzi Voice Services via Facebook or email manzivoiceservices@gmail.com. We look forward to collaborating with you to facilitate your future needs.
You're listening to the Someone You Should Know podcast with your host and moderator, Rick Anthony. And now back to Rick with today's very special guest interview.
We're talking to Markus Leinweber from the band Tenderhooks. I got your press kit, and I saw that your highest profile gig was the Rhythm Tree Festival on the Isle of Wight, opening for Maroon Town and Alabama 3 and the Orb. Can you share the vibe of that show and what it's like playing in a festival crowd?
We played there the year before, so we knew what was coming. Beautiful festival, 2,000-3,000 people, a lot of families, a mixture of wonderful music and entertainment, all sorts of things. Great beer tent, just a hot summer's day. It was wonderful weather. And this time we were on the main stage. So, we got our own little caravan to hang out in before we went up on stage.
Wonderful.
And there was one of the guys from Maroon Town was from Alabama 3 was hanging around. So we managed to get a really lovely photo with him. I didn't really know the band too well. And so it was all filled in after that. They got their break with, what's it called? The American, with Ed Gandolfino. What's the name?
It's the Sopranos. Yeah, the Sopranos. Yeah, they
did the music for that, and that was their big break.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that song.
And I'm still hoping for that.
Yeah,
but they got theirs, and they said they tour around, and obviously they've been doing it for many, many years. But so so we went on the big stage, and yes, it was early evening, but we still played out in front of a very, very big crowd. And being on that big stage, we also had a lovely girl singer with us called Maria, who's now since had a baby, and her partner. They did BVs. We had a pianist at the time, so I was playing some saxophone and singing, obviously. Ben, who's the lead guitarist, actually comes from the Isle of Wight, so that was kind of special for him. Mike was there with bass and Dave was on drums at the time. So we had a fairly big lineup. So it was great. We made a big sound and it felt lovely. And we got some really good footage from that. And that's the biggest stage. We've been on some decent sized stages, but that was definitely the one that I would say from the size of the stage was our biggest gig.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I hope you have a lot more of those in 2024. Now, the next song we're going to feature is from the most recent album. It's the title cut called 5.4 Light Years. Markus, what's the significance of 5.4 light years? Is that a specific thing that is 5.4 light years away, or what's the...
Yeah, it is. It's the 9th album. So 5.4 was my idea of that. And we also play 5/4 at the beginning of the album. Time signature.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of math rock at the beginning. And then I feel very strongly about the way that we are treating our planet. And it's all about a bit of influence, with Bowie and other kind of space guys that go out and look back at planet Earth reflectingly. This guy is on a mission. He has to stop off at Mars, so maybe Elon has got his little villa up there, and then he's got to stop. So there's some humans already hanging out on Mars. Most probably have to, because the Earth is about to go kaput.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's got the genetics, and the spaceship is full of enough science for him to go and find a planet, and the planet is 5.4 light years away in the nebula somewhere.
Well, wonderful.
Out there.
I love it. I love it. I love astronomy. I love everything to do with space and such. And I know there's life out there somewhere. There is life out there somewhere. And maybe they're the ones that are going to move you to the next level. How about that? To get you to a bigger stage.
They might also go, we don't like you. We don't know. Because I read a book once and a guy said, there are aliens out there and they're looking down on us and going, you are mucking up your planet.
Uh-huh.
You are self-destruct. You better clean up your act. Otherwise you are kaput. And I think they're just up there having a right old laugh, looking down at us being absolute, yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think what we need to do is listen to the song. And this is one you're going to like because it features Markus on the keys, and you do a damn good job on the keys in 5/4 time. Here is 5.4 light years from Tenderhooks right here on the Somebody You Should Know podcast. That's the Tenderhooks right there. Title cut from their 5.4 Light Years album. Great stuff. I really like that song. I got to ask, Marcus, what's on tap for the band for 2024? Any big projects coming up?
We've got a couple of gigs in the book, and then I will carry on. We will carry on. We're going to start recording on Monday, so a week, less than a week now. We're going to put 4-5 drum tracks down and bass tracks, and then we're going to get the rest of the songs in order. And I will we've released Where Are My Fans and Festival song. I just needed to keep getting stuff to radio stations, because I've got a lot of indie radio stations that do play our stuff. Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of nurture that on and build that family, which is kind of, a little something. And so I'm looking towards somewhere around there to get the first single out, most probably Mother Said. Then we've got a song called Big Brother. Then we've got Brand New Day. And then we've got a song about Brighton called Palace Pier.
Oh,
a love
wonderful
story that takes place on the Palace. And then there'll be 6 songs, and then I've got a song for the Olympics, which may be one for the album. I'd like to pitch it to TV and stuff, potentially as the show tune for the Olympics. So I'm hoping to get that one ready.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's called Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. That's got a bit more of a Euro kind of, Euro pop vibe to it. So we'll have a nice selection, again, a mixture of songs leading through to most probably releasing at the back end of next summer after all the singles have gone out. I'll then put the album up like I did with 5.4 and album 10, and then we'll see what happens. We have a management company which we pay now. They're called LMS UK. They're helping us to try and G up our social media. And also they have good links to festivals and things. And next week, I'm going to Portsmouth to do a podcast with the guy who started LMS UK, Josh. And we're doing a feature on the Santa song, my Christmas Tenderhooks Do Santa. And so I'll meet him and say, where are my fans?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
Hopefully they'll be coming out in droves in 2024. You mentioned a little bit about your social media. Can you give us some of your links? What I'll do is I'll include those down in the show notes, so anyone who's out in their car right now doesn't have to pull over and write them down. But what's some links to your media?
Well, Tenderhooks band, Tenderhooks on Facebook. And Tenderhooks for You on X. And we've just changed our Instagram to T-Hooks Band. And then, of course, on YouTube, we have a lot of quirky videos, including one for 5.4 Light Years. I love doing a bit of green screen stuff. There is a song on the new album called Queen of the Green Screen, and that's a little bit of a reflection on me loving to dabble with a bit of green screen. But I'm not a queen, but it just worked well.
Awesome,
kind of Freddie Mercury style-y song, that one, bit Queen. So once you've got into one, you should be able to link into others. Good. And we've got a TikTok account where I like doing pretty sort of fun, crazy stuff. That's Hooks with an exclamation mark and then a couple of numbers. I'll have to have a look at all these.
No problem. What I'll do is we'll find them. We'll put them in the show notes so anyone who's listening right now can follow you. Absolutely. And find out when that album is coming out. That would be great. And then we'll start a U.S. tour, okay, of Tenderhooks.
Wow, that would be so on my bucket list. So the Winnebagos with the alien, English guys driving around. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That would be fantastic.
Good. The next feature is one of my favorites. It's called Tales from the Road. Those are those infamous road stories of things that happen going to a gig, coming from a gig, something that happened on stage, something happened with accommodations. You get to a gig and you realize you're not supposed to be playing that gig. You're supposed to be playing at another venue. Just as a whole bunch of them. Kind of think of your Spinal Tap moments of load-ins and load-outs. What would you say is Tenderhooks? Tales from the Road.
A story because it's based in the States, and obviously I haven't been to the States with my band, but I was studying acting in New York, and then friends of mine flew down, living in Miami, say fly down for Christmas. We're taking a U-Haul truck, me and my brother, and we're heading over to LA where we're moving to. Jump in with us and come for the ride. So I did just that. It was very weird lying by their swimming pool on Christmas Day in Miami in the heat and everything. It was the first time that had happened. And then we get in the U-Haul truck and we go up through Florida, across the southern states. We went to New Orleans, had a fantastic night out at Tipitino's, which was, very good fun. And then we get back in the truck and we're trucking along and we're trucking through Texas, miles away from the border, and we go into a police checkpoint. And I was just rolling one up, driving the big truck. In we go. And they go, right, we'd like to look at your passports, please. And I'd gone in on a tourist visa. And I did some work in the States. I did 96 shows of the Mousetrap but I was doing a little bit of blagging. And I ended up, this was about month 20 on a 6-month visa. Oh, no. So I stayed in a little aluminium cell that night on the checkpoint. Yeah, absolutely. My friends were freaking out because they heard I was going to El Paso Deportation Center.
Oh, no.
And they heard some horrible stories about that place. So there were alarm bells. My dad was called, got to do this, got to do that. And then the next day I was put in a truck and taken off to El Paso Deportation Center, where I spent 5 days.
Oh, my.
With full regalia, strip, orange outfit. Standing in little squares, getting counted, meeting cons that were going from San Francisco to there before flying out to England, drug smugglers and all sorts of people.
Yeah.
So, that was a very interesting experience. But the story is, from that, I've written a trilogy of songs. Get to You, which is about a guy who's trying to get to his girlfriend because she's hooked on his gear. And as he's going, he gets the cop cars behind him. The second song is called Sweet Alibi, which is him getting busted. Now, there's a lot of that to do with me being in the jail, etc., the experience of that. And then the last one is Run Into the Sun, which is on the last album. And that is about him breaking out, getting a car to drive him to a river, jumping in the river, swimming across, and then running across the golden fields being chased by cops. And that experience, so it was an experience that in my memory banks has released these songs. And I must say, I got let out after 5 days. My dad sent $5,000, 10 grand. 5 grand was for bail, and then I had 5 grand to take to LA where my friends had bought a house. I did some painting and decorating work. I did some acting classes, but I bought a Cadillac '66 Calais.
Oh, nice.
Huge boat for $1,000, and I would drive from Silver Lake down to Venice Beach in this thing, 6 miles to the gallon. I don't think you can afford those now.
Jeez. That's a good story.
King of the Strip for a few days, knowing I'd have to leave America. But funnily enough, I left America, and then when I got to England, I started doing my acting, and I got into commercials. And then all of a sudden, I was between me and another guy to do a Winston cigarette commercial, which was shooting in New York it was like $20,000 back in '89. Which is a lot of money. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to go to the American Embassy. And I thought, this is going to be it. They're going to get me. But no, the little red dot, they let me in, and we shot guerrilla style on the streets in New York, the most unbelievable commercial. We shot in the most amazing locations. It was a fantastic thing. So the experience was great. Went back to the States, was all right. I'd love to come back there with the band.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. We'd love to see Tenderhooks touring the States. We're going to wrap the show up with another Tenderhook song called Station Guard Hero. What's the story on Station Guard Hero?
Well, Station Guard Hero is a true story. It was Mike, who is our bass player. He was on a platform. He's a station guard down in Worthing, which is actually where Royal Blood come from. And he was doing a night shift, and all of a sudden a guy that was very off his face was attacking people and basically causing mayhem, also attacking 2 of his colleagues. So Mike is a big guy, but he's in his 60s. He's got a bit of a dicky heart. He jumped on top of him, subdued him, obviously had a bit of a wrestle with him, and they managed to, calm this guy down and stop him from assaulting people and causing problems. And shortly after that, he got a heart attack, and Mike was carted off to hospital. and he was in a bad way for a bit, but they fixed him up. And lo and behold, about less than 2 weeks later, we had our launch for the Hooks album, and Mike came and played absolutely brilliant. He had to sit in the second half, but in the first half he stood. And so I was very, very, very grateful, that he came over it. He was still in the band and obviously still doing the stuff. And I just wrote this song for him.
All right, from Mike then. There you go. Station Guard Hero is going to wrap up the show here on the Someone You Should Know podcast. And Markus, I really appreciate you being on the show here and being now part of our growing Someone You Should Know podcast family. Thanks so much for being on the show.
That's a pleasure. You can have me back anytime.
When's my train coming? Please tell me, dear. It's getting a message on an incoming train. A young man is acting really insane. Station guard hero draws in a breath. Gonna help me sort out this mess. Brakes are screeching, a shout and a bang. People rush past him, most of them ran. Station guard hero sees a man with a knife. He asks himself, should I risk my life? Station guard hero's nothing left to do. This crazy man he has to subdue. Now he's lying in the ICU, feeling very poorly. Doctors do what they need to do to try and pull him through. A pretty nurse says, hey Mike, you'll be alright. British Rail need to know they've got their very own station guard hero. Kisses and hugs him, happy is back. Picks up his bass and plays a few tunes. Life is alright now, he's back in the groove. Station guard hero for the man with a knife. For that he nearly paid the ultimate price. It's just an ordinary bloke, a station guard hero.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for tuning in to this episode of the Someone You Should Know podcast. Before I go, I want to share some friends of mine who also have a podcast. Give them a listen, and I invite you to check us out next time right here on the Someone You Should Know podcast. All right, here's my friends right now from the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Hey, everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike
with the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast, coming to you from the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in Joliet, Illinois.
Where once a week we are interviewing local musicians and singer-songwriters, and the podcast itself covers a wide range of topics, including, but not limited to, the history of rock and roll in Chicago, the current state of the scene, and the challenges and opportunities facing musicians today.
So join us every Tuesday for a new exciting episode of the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.